Again for attending this special Phillipston Town Hall meeting. Let's take a moment to rise if you're able to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is in the back as well as the front. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. All right, so before we get into the meeting, there's just some housekeeping items that I'd just like to go over so everyone is aware as we move forward. So there's a couple different sections for seating. Right in front of me, these two sections are for residents only. You all have the ability to vote. Everyone over to the right are non-residents, so thank you for staying over in that area. So if you could silence your phones, please. And as moderator, it is my job to see that we go through all of the articles of the warrant and that we have proper discussion. And up here in the front with me tonight, we have the Finance Committee to my right. To my left, we have Town Clerk, Town Council, Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, team as well. So thank you all for coming and being here to help make this happen. Another just housekeeping item, there are a couple of attendees that may need to speak on town floor that are not residents. I just wanted to bring these up and see if there's any issue with that before we get into discussion time. Town Council, Tom McKinney, Town Administrator Adam Lamontagne, and potentially School Committee Dr. Chris Consavant. Is there any issue with anyone speaking that I listed? Seeing none, we will be good with that moving forward. All right, so the process that we'll be taking is that I will ask for a motion and then ask for a second. The Finance Committee may speak to the motion, and then I'll give the floor an opportunity to discuss the motion. I do want to state that it is very important that we stay on topic with the article and the purpose of the article. It just helps to ensure that we aren't going off into subject matter that doesn't align with what we're going to be voting on tonight. So please do keep that in mind. Another part of that is to ensure that you're paying attention to what others have discussed during the discussion piece. If someone's already said something and stated it, and you have similar thoughts, please recognize that it has already been stated, so everyone probably has a good understanding of it at that time. All right. So if you'd like an opportunity to speak and have the discussion, participate in the discussion, please raise your hand. I will acknowledge you and give everyone an opportunity to participate in the discussion. I'm going to ask you to come up to the mic right up front, state your name and the address that you are a resident at. That way we know who's speaking, and this is also being recorded, so it just identifies that as well. Okay, we can talk about the article. Again, I'm just going to emphasize this, talking about specifics to the article, not about specific people, so keep the discussion in line with the article itself. And when it's reached the point where the discussion has come to a level of clarity and we're not repeating ourselves, at that point I'm going to recognize that we go to a vote. Okay? All right, so I think I've gone through all of the housekeeping items. We can get into this. There is just one article this evening, so we can move forward.
I will move that the town approve the $10,864,548 borrowing authorized by the Narragansett Regional School District, the district, for the purpose of paying costs related to a potential accelerated repair project involving the Narragansett Regional High School full roof replacement project of $9,176,314 located at 460 Baldwinville Road, Baldwinville, Mass. And the Narragansett Regional Middle School partial roof replacement project, $1,688,234 located at 464 Baldwinville Road, Baldwinville, Mass., including the payment of all costs incidental or related thereto the project, which proposed repair project would materially extend the useful life of the schools and preserve assets that otherwise are capable of supporting the required educational program, and for which the district may be eligible for a school construction grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority the MSBA, said amount to be expended at the direction of Narragansett Regional School District School Committee, that the town acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement discretionary program based on need as determined by the MSBA, and any project cost the district incurs in excess of any grant approved by and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the district and its member municipalities, and the amount of borrowing authorized by the district shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in the project funding agreement that may be executed between the district and the MSBA. This approval is conditioned upon an affirmative vote of the town to exclude the amounts needed to repay the town's allocable share of this borrowing from the limitation on local property taxes contained in Chapter 59, Section 21C of the general laws, also known as a Proposition 2.5.
Thank you. Hearing a second, we can move into discussion.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention that the school district has been approved in October at a 59% reimbursement rate for an MSBA grant. So the estimated grant would be $6,111,695. So the local funding share would be the remaining of $4,752,853. And the district is planning a 20-year bond. So the estimated cost with the principal and interest is $7,057,471. Templeton's share at this point is 85%, which would be $5,998,850, and Phillipston's at $1,058,621. So over a 20-year grant, a 20-year loan period, that would be about $53,000 a year for Phillipston, which comes out to roughly 13 cents per thousand, or $56 for a $431,000 house. So just so you got some of the calculations, so they know everybody's going to be asking for, probably ask for them again. So that's the high school roof, and the remainder of the middle school roof that we didn't repair, I don't know, 20 years ago, or whatever it was a long time. And the roofs do need it, and from what I understand from the district, is if we don't do it this year, we might have to wait another 5-10 years before we could get a grant opportunity again. So it's do it now, because MSBA is going to pick up a big chunk of that. So that's me.
All right, thank you. All good. Okay, thank you for that discussion. Is there any additional discussion? So, you want to go first?
Okay, I had a question because the roofs that are on there now, I've seen a little video and stuff saying like contractors put the existing one on wrong. I'm not sure who did the inspection, if they were certified or not, but my question is this: how long is this roof, this new roof that we're gonna pay $10 million for, warranted? And is it gonna be a written warranty or some type of bond protecting the town from spending $10 million and essentially the contractor or who's ever responsible just walking away?
Okay. So that question is on the floor. Is there anyone here? Dr. Cosma, you come up here and have a speaker at the microphone right there.
Thank you. I'm John Cutler, who's the OPM, so a lot of this information is coming straight from him, but it's a 20 to 30-year, depending, warranty on the roof.
Okay, thank you. Does that answer your question, Bernie?
Is there a bond or something to protect us, or the contractor puts the roof on?
So I'm not sure what the bond would mean, but whatever company who gets the bid would be insured. It's a warranty, 20 to 30 years, and I'm certain that there's a written documentation to that. I'm not sure how do we answer that directly? I don't know what the exact question.
I guess what I'm not sure of is, I've been in construction for a long time, there's very few roofing companies that were around 20 years ago that are still in business. And some of that is by design, is they changed the corporate name or something to eliminate any prior liabilities. So, and if they have insurance, it only covers them for the year that they're in business. So in 5 years from now, if ABC Roofing is out of business or whatever, what protection does the town have? We're paying a lot of money here. It's not, this
Right.
isn't like a $40,000 roof. We don't want to do this again.
Right.
And is there anything in place, do we have any type of like a capital improvement fund like the town has for other purposes for these types of events, so that we're coming back to the people in 20 years from now and say, we need $80 million to do this roof over? And that's a real potential given the numbers, inflation, and the cost of what's happening.
So to answer the question, back to Ford, in terms of having a fund, we generally try to put monies away for any type of emergencies, okay? And much of that is used up. It's E&D, usually that can be transferred, but generally the E&D money goes to balancing the budget. But we do try to put $25,000, $50,000, I think it's like $50,000, I'm gonna look back. Thank you very much. $87,000 in that account at this point in time. In terms of, so I don't know if that answers that question, but we do have that. If you're asking if it's $10 million, no, we don't have $10 million into that type of an account. I would have to rely on John Cutler about what happens if roofing company ABC, closes or changes its name or does whatever, 3 years down the road. I personally don't know how to answer that. That would be more, I just can't answer that question. But again, that's the answer I have. Again, I don't know what to say, John, about that. But can he come up? He's the OPM, because he would be more suited to answer that.
Sure. What's your full name? Is there any issue with John Cutler? What's the position again?
He's the OPM, the project manager.
Okay, the OPM on this project. Is there any opposition to having him speak on the floor? Seeing no opposition, yes.
First of all, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here. So to answer your question, I believe how that would work is the policy is still active even if someone goes under, for starters, but they have builder's risk up until that project is turned over outside of your closeout phase effectively. They turn the insurance policy over to the town, is my understanding of how that works. And that policy remains active regardless of whether or not they're still in business. I imagine you guys still have a policy on those sections of the middle school roof that were done in 2011. That company, all three contractors, I believe, went out of business. I was trying to look up your project when we first started here. I imagine you still have an active policy on those sections of the roof, the sections that we aren't talking. So I believe that's how it works. I can certainly follow up in writing for you guys, but I don't think, regardless of whether or not that company's in business, it changes the insurance policy that they turn over to you guys.
Is that something that we can get in writing, explaining
Yes,
that a little bit better? Because that's a little loose, the language that you're using.
Yeah, don't quote me on that.
If we're gonna spend $10 million collectively between, the district between Templeton and Phillipston, we wanna make sure that we're not doing this again in 15 years or 20 years even. I don't think it's something that we could realistically just keep doing as roofs age quicker.
No, nor should you be. This
Okay.
roof shouldn't make it just the life of the warranty. I mean, realistically, these sections of roof should last you the same duration that the original roof lasted you, which is close to 50 years. I mean, in an ideal world, that's what you get. So I hear what you're saying.
And I
Not
guess-
dismissing that, I just don't want to
I
cite
guess
any
my other
statutory
question
language.
would be right now is you say that there's potentially an insurance policy on the middle school roofs
Well, I would-
from three contractors that already gone out of business.
that was the early ARP program. I believe it was still the Green Initiative at the time.
How does the town of Phillipston have access to those so that we know that we're protected?
I would turn that question to someone who was working in town governance at the time. I couldn't tell you who was running point with this being a regional district. I'm not sure if that was if the policy was maybe through the district side or if it was individually assessed to each town. So there's some, I mean, it's a complex question you're asking. It's not something we see often that 20 years down the line, a construction company at this magnitude that's going to be doing a 10 million MSBA project goes out of business and/or has a failed roof 15 years down the line. And obviously on this project, we're here to make sure that doesn't happen. The program's changed a lot over the last 15 years to make sure there's a lot more accountability. That's why we exist. I exist in my role, our design team. We have commissioning agents, testing agents, all third-party independent, responsible to the town. So the idea here being quality control at the inception of the project prevents any of these functional issues down the road.
Okay, so let's get to the point before we take a vote on this. My understanding is you're the project manager, that
Yep.
you're gonna make sure that the company that's awarded the contract has an insurance policy,
Yes,
which the town of Phillipston will get a copy of.
that is a requirement for their bid packages.
And this
gonna bid.
policy will extend beyond the time that they're actually doing the roof. It'll be like good for 20 years or in that area.
Yes, I believe it's 20 years. I've seen 20 years and 30 years.
Okay.
On roofs on new construction.
So if not, and I'm still around, we're gonna be looking for you.
Hopefully I'm still around.
Thank you, that's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. There was an additional question over here.
Hi, I'm Linda Langevin, Riley Switch Road. I just wondered what the percentage of students are from Phillipston this year.
Do we have that answer available?
Presley is 15%.
Okay, so that's where that number came from on the, okay. And the other question I had is, how long does it take for the town to be reimbursed through the grants?
So the question is, how long does it take? Thank you.
So we'll issue reimbursement requests throughout the project once we hit a threshold of $50,000 spent after the project's spent. So once this project funding phase is done, we can officially start submitting reimbursement requests. They do require that the reimbursement requests are greater than $50,000. But so progressively every single month, my team will be sending in reimbursement requests for the district, and then I believe the district assesses the capital payment back to the individual towns or the subsequent reimbursements back to the town. So that's a live process throughout the project.
To the district?
Okay.
It's good.
Thank you very much. All right, is there any other discussion? Yes.
Yeah, Gerhard Fandryer. I have a concern. It says that the school committee is going to be handling these monies, and I'd like to know how many other projects of this magnitude has the school committee done to handle these kinds of monies?
First, the school committee will be taking out the note, as discussed, right? So we'll be going through the bond council. The OPM actually handles the money. So it comes through us, and then it'll be through, as John explained. In terms of projects that the school committee has, I guess, have ever, gone through, they just went through an elementary school project, was the same. Now granted, it wasn't a regional project, obviously, it was just Templeton, but it's the same process in which the reimbursements, come in once $50,000, those kinds of things come through. So that's all handled through the OPM, but we'll have the note ultimately because we're doing the borrowing. I want to make sure I answer that question.
Thank you. That additionally.
Actually, I just have one more comment that I wanted to make. I want to make sure that everybody knew that this is debt exclusion. So we would then also have to vote at the ballot box for the debt exclusion. So ask pass here and the ballot box.
Okay, thank you. Anyone that didn't hear that, this vote is to include the debt exclusion, which means it would have to go to a ballot vote as well with the election. All right. Any additional discussion? Yes.
Sylvia Haley, Myrtle Road. Ruth, is this worded properly then? I'm glad you mentioned the debt exclusion because that was my question. It says also known as Proposition 2.5. Does it have to say the debt exclusion? Because Proposition 2.5 is different from the debt exclusion.
Tom, could you speak to that question, please, Town Council?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. In response to the question, Proposition 2.5 has essentially two components, more or less. One is a debt exclusion component. The other is the override component. So it is a debt exclusion vote pursuant to Proposition 2.5. So it is the correct language. This is the language that was provided from the district, which is consistent with the form language that MSBA requires for projects that will be funded through an MSBA grant.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that information, any additional discussion? Seeing no discussion, we can move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes by a majority.
I move that we dissolve this special town meeting.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming out in attendance for this special town meeting.